Hey folks, Nick Hawks with Paleo Treats here. Super excited to talk to you about how to build an amazing life. One of the things that I see happen over and over with people is they create a life where they're pursuing something, usually money, that they're going to exchange later for something else. And that is a foolish and bullshit way of finding happiness or finding satisfaction. So there's a couple different pieces that we need to lay out and understand here. Number one, it's not that money can't buy you happiness, it's that it's not the most direct route. And a lot of you are looking at like, hey, when I have $1 million, I'll be happy. And it may be true, it may not be true, but it's not a direct indicator. What you have to do is look at your life, what's important to you, and what makes you the happiest. And then you have to pursue that directly. You can do whatever you want, but if you want to be happy, if you want to be satisfied, if you want to be stoked, if you want to be in control of your life and feel like you have balance, then you need to take some time and think about what are those actions, what are those experiences that give you happiness, and pursue those. Don't pursue anything else. Don't pursue money, don't pursue a fast car, don't pursue a hot boyfriend or girlfriend. Those things don't matter unless they specifically make you happy or satisfied. So one of the first things with building this amazing life that I think you deserve and you can have is understanding what actually makes you happy, right? And it's usually not a number in your bank account. I'm not going to argue that the number won't facilitate a couple things. It's always nice to have nicer things, but at the core of it, that number won't make you happy. Something else will. For me, as an example, the things that make me the happiest are number one, spending time with my wife Lee and our dogs. Number two, exploring like a new learning domain. Right now it's paragliding, and it probably will be for the next couple years. But just being in a place where I can learn a bunch and reach deep into all these different parts and see how it all works together, that makes me really happy. Number three is consistent physical exercise. That makes me super happy, and of course I get to do that with paragliding because I'm running up these hills so that I can fly off them all the time. And then number four is having Paleo Treats as a really interesting and super fun entity that I have agency over. I get to decide how we're going to treat our employees. I get to decide how we're going to sell cookies. I get to decide the marketing stuff, and I get to work with a really great group of people, and we all get to support each other. All those things are the things that make me really happy. And you'll notice, as I was talking with a friend of mine last night about this, that I didn't say in there anywhere that money makes me happy, that a number in my bank account does, because it doesn't matter. None of those things require anything more than kind of a base level of money to be happy. Now, I'll admit that most of this talk is aimed at first worlders, right? You have enough money to have your food, your shelter, the rest of it. I'm not talking to just the people who are living on $5 a day and kind of struggling to survive. Those, you, if that's you, have a different set of problems and issues, and it probably will help you to make a little bit more money. But what I hear over and over from my friends and from my kind of cohort of people who are all in the same first world experience that I am is that they're unhappy. So the first thing is figuring out what makes you happy, then following that. The second piece, and I think this is really important, is understanding and incorporating contrast and balance into your life. That contrast is going to be finding stuff that feels good and then finding stuff that feels not so good. Now that's not finding stuff that feels good like just sex and then finding stuff that feels bad like getting stabbed in the guts. Like those things won't provide a healthy contrast for you because one is helpful and the other one is really unhealthy. The easiest example is in the physical domain. And by that I mean, a great example there is taking a cold shower 6 days a week. It gives you the contrast so that on that seventh day of the week, for me it's a Friday, I get to take a warm shower and I really enjoy that warm shower. It also helps you understand, that contrast helps you understand how unimportant many of our physical comforts are. We tend to think as humans in America, or Canada, the first world in general, that we'll be happier if we're more comfortable. But it's not the case. Not at all. We are happier when we have contrast in our lives. So I said the easiest thing to demonstrate, one of the easiest things to demonstrate this was working out. If you work out super hard, it's difficult. You sweat, it's hard, it feels not painful, but definitely like a struggle. and then you rest from it, and that gives you the contrast to appreciate what it is to work out, release those endorphins, and go through that struggle and difficult time of running a 6-minute mile or 5-minute mile, wherever it is difficult for you, and then having the time to rest and appreciate that rest time. If all you do is just the rest time, if all you do is just sitting on the couch, then you don't appreciate it as much. So incorporating, after you figured out what makes you happy, right, and taking the most direct path to that, if it's free diving or holding your breath, if it's spearfishing, if it's paragliding, if it's knife fighting, if it's doing art, if it's running a business, all of those things can totally make you happy, but you have to figure out what it is that makes you stoked. And then once you've got that piece, that kind of kernel of a stoked existence, then you start looking at what is going to provide a nice, healthy cycle on a consistent basis. And it's understanding that if you only aim for those things that make you comfortable, you miss out on about half of what existence can provide you with a fully realized experience in your 80 years on the planet, right? You got about 80 years on the planet, and it's up to you to decide how you're going to use them. I'm 39, so I've got about 40 years left. I get to decide how I'm going to use the next 40 years. If I spend all of that time over the next 40 years only pursuing pleasurable things, I think that eventually that leads me, that thought line leads me to heroin, right? If I'm only looking for the most pleasurable things, apparently that's one of the most pleasurable things that you can experience. So that means that eventually I'll go that direction. But if I maintain a balance and a contrast, it means I can go back and forth between a cold shower and a warm shower, between working out and not working out, between whatever it is, driving fast, driving slow, walking fast, walking slow, time with my dogs, time without my dogs, time with my wife, time without my wife. All of those things provide the contrast to fully enjoy and experience each side of that balance. And if I do that, then it doesn't mean necessarily that I'm always in this state of ecstasy, but it means that I'm in a state of agency. And that's the ability to affect and control and manipulate and move and enjoy my reality in a way that is important to me. And I think the same thing can be true for you. But it does take stepping outside as the very first step and understanding what drives you. What's important? What do you want to have happen? That goes back to what's going to make you happy. So that's mostly it for today, right? Is find what makes you happy. If you want to be happy, and most people do that thing, and then make sure that you build in contrasting experiences and honor and respect the necessity of having the contrast of those experiences. That's all for today. Nick Hawks with Paleo Treats signing off. Hope you have a fantastic life. Ciao, ciao.